Okay, welcome back to day 3. Give me a moment to sign in and I will be happy to get started. Hold on just a minute. There's my YouTube channel, since we already got it up and running. That's where you'll find the courses at. That's something I didn't prepare for when I was signing on. That's fine. Okay, the last couple days we've worked on some units. Now we're going to continue on with Unit 5. As soon as it loads up, we'll be ready to go. This unit is pretty long as far as PowerPoint, and it's a lot of videos. There's a lot to vision and space management, as you can imagine. Vision is super crucial, as you know. If you don't have, it's kind of hard to drive if you can't see, as you know, or you struggle seeing. Alright, so vision and space management. Unit 5. Some of the overview of vision and perception requirements. Operating space. Vehicle operating space. Stopping distance. I kind of elaborated that to you just a minute ago on the whiteboard as far as stopping distance. We'll see a little chart. Space management system, I'm not so worried about that part of it. Lane positions, making safe lane position choices. There is some decision making. Remember the IPD process we talked about last video. This will help you make the proper, correct, safe lane change if you need to. Multitasking. Vision, as I said, is crucial to driving. If you have struggled seeing, it's kind of hard to drive. It's the most important sense, human sense, on the driving to the driving task. 60% of our brain is devoted to vision alone. There are 3 types of visions. There's central, provides detailed objects. Fringe or focal, judges the depth and position. Peripheral, detects color and object movement. Those who play sports, you know all about peripheral. Okay, that's kind of the corner of your eye, that part of it. Fringe, focal, that's sort of the edge of the road, sort of in front of you and the edge of the road. And of course, central is right in front of you. Now what we'll talk a lot about is, you remember the 2-second rule and things like that. We'll talk about a lot about visual lead and things that helps you see. When you're in the car with me, I'll talk to you a lot about what's ahead of you. If you can see ahead of you, you're much better off. You can anticipate things, and you can see them happening, and then you can react. Whether it's stopping, changing lanes, turning, whatever the case may be. So you'll hear me say it and throughout the course, the more the merrier. The more you can see, the better off you're going to be. Okay? This particular photo shows 20 to 30 seconds ahead. This person can see pretty much everything in front of them. They can see side roads. They can see businesses, car lots, parking lots. Oncoming traffic in front of them, beside of them. So it's a really good situation at this particular point. 20, 30 seconds, you're doing pretty good. Searching is the process of pretty much looking around, seeing everything, seeing the cars parked, seeing oncoming traffic. Is there a hill? Is there a blind curve? Whatever the case may be, whatever the potential risk would be, you need to know about it. So you need to search quite extensively as you're driving, and keep searching. It's not just a one-time deal. You need to keep searching constantly. Line of sight is pretty much straight in front of you. As you can see, the first photo to the left, there's some trees and cars parked and stoplights and oncoming traffic. So you can see there's a potential of some risk there. Somebody could walk out in front of the car and stuff like that. So the second photo, this person's on the interstate. It would look like some type of highway. There's one car ahead of them. Their line of sight's pretty good. They can see for a good while. So they're ready to go, drive. Field of view, just like any softball or baseball field, those who play baseball or softball, you're kind of still, you're looking around, searching your surroundings at any given moment, okay? Path of travel. You want to choose the best path of travel that has the lowest possible risk. If you're in a 4-lane road, there's a stoplight, and 2 lanes are going the same direction that you want to go in. One lane has 10 cars, one lane has 5. Well, obviously the lane that has 5 poses the lowest possible risk. I mean, that's just law of numbers there. Okay? So you want to try to be in the lowest possible risk for you, for your passengers, for people outside, in your lanes and stuff like that. Following distance. Here's where they talked about 3 to 4 seconds. We talked about 2 to 3 seconds. As you can see, 3 to 4 seconds is not a lot of time. You do have enough time to probably slam on your brakes, but at this point, you're pretty close. Okay, so that gives you. This is kind of what we talked about earlier with the 2 to 3 seconds. Pick a point. You count 1001, 1002, 1003. They're recommending 3 to 4 seconds. As I mentioned earlier, the further back you are from the car in front of you, the better off you'll be as far as stopping goes. Okay, so if you can pull off 3 seconds, by all means, go back to 3 seconds. As I mentioned earlier, some of the reasons why you would increase your following distance when roads are slippery, poor visibility, maybe it's foggy, maybe it's snowing, nighttime obviously is poor visibility, nighttime driving as it mentions, following large trucks or large vehicles. If there's an 18-wheeler in front of you, they can straddle debris or anything in front, pothole. Whereas if you're too close to that large truck or a large vehicle and they slam on brakes, you're not going to have enough time. So you got to give them some more time. Anticipate in-car distractions. If you know you're going to the beach with your family or a vacation and you have younger siblings in the car, well, I rest assure you'll have some in-car distractions. We talked about this in a previous video, so you need to know how to A, not be distracted, B, maybe eliminate some of the in-car distractions. Maybe if one of your younger siblings is playing a video game on their phone, maybe give them some AirPods or something to let them listen to the sound without bothering you as you drive, or something like that. Try to be one car width at all times. Okay. Avoid driving next to other vehicles in multi-lanes. There again, try to give you as much space, maybe a door length or even more. The more you can give, the better. Keep a steady speed, and that's huge for teenage drivers. We can't control the space behind us, but if you keep a steady speed, then the driver behind you can position their car at 2 to 3 or 4 seconds behind, so they can be safe and you can be safe as well. I've been in cars numerous times. I'm talking numerous. Most of the time, we'll be going, let's say, 55 miles an hour on a 4-lane road or highway, and I look down and we're at 27 miles an hour. Then I look up again, we're at 59 miles an hour. Then I look up again at their speedometer, we're at 32 miles an hour. Those are just examples. The car behind us is going to get aggravated. You may experience road rage because of it. So keep a steady speed. I'm not telling you to speed. That's not what this is saying. What I'm saying is, if you're 55 and you drop it to 30, that's too slow in a crowded environment. If you're at 55 and drop it to 50, okay, that's manageable. You see what I'm saying? If you drop it too low, then the cars behind you don't know how to judge the distance. More space in front to reduce lane position. Operating space. Okay, this is kind of common sense. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Okay, it's just wherever side the car is on, that's what it's called. Alright, and 3, open, closed, and changing area spaces. Or area space, I should say. The one far left is open space. If something were to happen, they could go right, they could go left, they could, obviously try to stop. Okay, the middle one is closed. Okay, now the red car is kind of in trouble. If the car in front of us is braking. Okay, there's an IPD process that we talked about. In that situation, to keep the guy from hitting you from behind, what you would probably need to do as soon as you see the car in front of you, if you can, tap your brakes really quickly. And that will indicate to the car behind you something's up, something's not, something's, so he needs to be alert. Then come to a full stop. Okay. Sometimes that's hard to do. Sometimes you don't have that much time to react. Okay, but that situation is closed and it's kind of dangerous. Changing space, change the area space. You see the red car is in his lane, and the white car decides that they want in the lane to the right. They have no turn signal on. They have no brake lights on. They just move over. Well, if the car cannot stop, obviously slam on brakes because there's a car directly behind them. Really, the only option that the red car has, if they can't stop or dodge the car at some capacity, is run off the road. I know that's something we don't want to hear. Something we don't want to really practice much because it is very, very dangerous. But at this point in time, this particular photo, you don't have much choice. Operating space. Stopping distance. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully you can see, as I mentioned earlier, at 60 miles an hour. So I'm trying to see if I can get it clear. Probably not. At 60 miles an hour, it takes about 359 feet. I said 360. At even at 20 miles an hour, it takes 70 feet. So you have perception distance, reaction, as I talked about earlier, and braking. You can see just from 50 to 60, it's almost 190, 91 feet more. So as you can see, it does matter. That's the reason the 2-3 seconds matters more. Space management, as I mentioned, I'm not going to really go over that much. Searching, okay. Look ahead, to the side, behind. Look at your intended path of travel. Search for roadside clues. Is the car pulling out in front of you? Is it a car lot? Is it a playground? Whatever. Keep your eyes active. Always be looking around. Always question. How you can see your visual lead. Same concept as before with the 2 seconds. 15 to 20 seconds is ideal. You saw that one said 20 to 30. That would be perfect. But 12 to 15, that's pretty much ideal. It's the same concept as I mentioned before. Find some focal point, some object, whether it's a sign, a tree, telephone pole, whatever, and count 1001, 1002 until you get to that sign or mark, that object, and that's how far you can see. If you can't see any further than 10 to 15, try to look further ahead. A lot of times teenagers don't try to see ahead because they're new at driving, they have lack of experience, and maybe they're nervous, and that's fine. But as I'm driving with you, if we're driving together, I'm going to challenge you a good bit of the time to see ahead. I'm going to say there's a dog in the road, there's a person crossing the crosswalk. I want you to see more than just 3 or 4 seconds in front of our car. Okay. Search the sides. Make sure roadway users not cross your path. Before entering an intersection, look to the front, left, and right. Okay. As I mentioned too, intersections, and I should have stopped the slide prior to going to the next one. Always, slow down through an intersection. Always check, make sure everything's okay before continuing. Yeah, your light may be green, okay, but double check. You never know. As I mentioned earlier, intersections are the worst for accidents on the road. So if you're flying through an intersection, you may end up hitting someone. Okay. So this next slide, looking behind, avoid collisions. Change settling. You want to see the mirrors behind. Check your shoulders. Check your blind spots. Searching. Where to look. When to look. How to evaluate a potential problem. Or good or poor situation. Okay. That's one thing, teenagers, you're just learning, new drivers, you're just learning. You may have the instructor say, look. Well, you don't know where to look or what you're looking for or when to look. So that takes time, that takes experience. Hopefully, I'll be able to help you more and more. What are you looking for? Like I said, just, I'm fascinated with instructors who'll say, hey, look over there. Well, what am I looking for? Things like that. Where to search? You got several things you got to kind of look at. Your mirrors. You keep in mind the side mirrors are made convex, meaning you don't get a true view of what's directly behind you. So your rearview mirror or checking over your shoulders is the only way you get an accurate view. Of course, your instrument panels, 20-30 seconds ahead would be perfect. When to search involves timing, direction. requires constantly, consistently looking to determine conditions around you. You always have to, what are you going to do before making a maneuver? Here's another example, 20 to 30 seconds lead time. As you can see, they pretty much see the whole picture. 12 to 15 seconds, obviously a little closer. May require you to change speed, directions, if something were to happen. 8 to 12, you're still in the stopping zone, but it's getting close. 4 seconds, 4 to 8, you're in safe zone, but you're really getting closer, especially at that 4-second mark. What are you searching for? You're searching for signs, signals, markings. Like we see that gentleman standing at his truck. Is he, trying to get in his truck? Is he going to jaywalk across the street? What is he doing? What are we searching for? Obviously I can't go too far over to the left because there's an oncoming truck. Things like that. Roadway characteristics, as I just mentioned, you got parked cars, you got oncoming traffic, blind spots, stuff like that. Motorized vehicles, non-motorized highway users, like that gentleman I just mentioned. He's non-motorized, obviously. So what's he doing? Is he just standing there? Is he waiting, for something to happen? So we don't know. Okay, so we got to be prepared. Eye habits for vehicle control. Picture your intended path of travel. Look in the middle. Look far ahead as you can. A lot of times teenagers won't trust their hand-eye coordination. Some of you play sports and play piano and swim and do extracurricular, play in the band and things like that. School, trust your hand-eye coordination. Those of you that are new to driving may be a little nervous. But most of the time, if you look, like it says, look far ahead, your hand-eye coordination kind of takes over without you realizing. After a while, you're in the middle of the road doing well, but because you're looking far ahead. If you don't look far ahead, what you're doing is you're over-correcting your steering, and as you're driving, the car is jerking on you a little bit. And over a period of time, that kind of makes you even more nervous because you feel like you can't drive, or you start getting negative thoughts. And it's not because you can't drive or you don't have the skill set. It's because you're not looking far enough ahead to let your hand-eye coordination take over. Trust your hand-eye coordination. Some of the searching habits. Look to all the sides, look ahead. Search the road surface. Is there black ice? Is it wet? Is there rain, mud puddles? What's the surface like? Is it gravel? Scan your mirrors and dashboards. Keep everything active. Alright, the next little bit, we're going to do flashcards, basically. I'll give you a few seconds on each one of them. There'll be 3 questions. You answer true, false. We'll go over them. And there will be a couple of them that we'll take even more time with, because there's some of you probably think one thing true, or some of you think false, and I can actually show you both arguments. So as we go through this, like I said, I'll give you a few seconds to look, and then we'll go on to the next slide. Okay. Did you see a railroad crossing? Yes. True. Is it a one-way street? False. Is there a pedestrian crossing ahead? No, that's false. As you can see, the railroad crossing is two-lane road and no pedestrians. Hopefully the video quality you can kind of see. These are not too hard to see, I don't think. Are you permitted to make a right on red? In North Carolina you can. Most states you can. There's some states that you actually can turn left on red. I know some time ago when I was in Atlanta, you could turn right on red. Or left on red, excuse me. If there's not a sign. I didn't see a sign, so I would say false. Traffic light green. False. Is there a white stop line? True. Okay, you see the stop line. I didn't see anywhere you couldn't turn right on red. And of course the stoplight is red. Are you approaching a sharp right turn? No. I think it was going to the left. Traffic control signal ahead? No. And speed limit sign? No. Or false. Okay, this one's going to probably trip a lot of people up. I'm going to probably pause it in a little bit and walk over when we talk about the questions and show you on the board. This is what I'm trying to get you to see. I want you to see everything, not just a few things. Two pedestrian crosswalks ahead. Some of you may say true. Some of you may say false. Obviously, I'll show you something in a minute. 4-lane street, true. Pedestrian entering crosswalk ahead, false. Okay. All right. All right. So it's hard to see even in class. The photo quality is not wonderful. Okay. But I do want you to see what I see, so that when you're driving in a city environment like this, a little small town, you can see more than what you think you can see. All right, so once again, the quality is not there. So if you don't see what I see, I'll point it out. I actually could see more than two, a lot more than two. Now keep in mind, I'm standing at the photo. The photo is still not great quality. These are called mid-block crosswalks. They haven't been around too terribly long. As you can see, you have to yield to right away. It's a state law. Okay. So give me a second. I see 15 crosswalks. And I know you're probably saying, what in the world is this guy looking at? Okay, let me explain. Stoplight, correct? each one of the stoplights has a crosswalk there, crossing there, crossing this way, and crossing back. So that's 4. So that's 1 stoplight, 2 stoplights, 3 stoplights. Okay, so that's 12 right there. And we haven't really done anything. There's a mid-block crosswalk. Okay, that's 13. It's hard to see, but there's a little yellow sign here. That'd be 14. And technically, there's another one here. I wouldn't expect you to see it due to the quality, so that makes 15. So I would accept 14. Okay? That's what I'm trying to get you to see, guys, is don't just look here or here, and that's it. Look further down the road. Yeah, what if there's a fire truck and that road's blocked off? And it's a green light here. Well, you're going to have to move over one way or the other. What was the ambulance? Or what if it's, something happening? That's where I want you to see, not just worry about here and here. That's great to worry about the intersection, don't get me wrong, but try to look ahead. Is it bumper-to-bumper traffic? Maybe you don't want to be in bumper-to-bumper traffic. You can go get in the right-hand lane, turn right, and dodge that. Maybe it's road construction up ahead. And you don't want to get in road construction. You go to the right, turn right, or go here and turn left and get out of the way. But if you're only looking at this crosswalk in here, guess who's going to be in bumper-to-bumper traffic? It won't be me. It'll be you. So you see what I'm saying now. Look ahead, as far ahead. Remember the 20, 30-second rule? The more the merrier. I don't know quite if that's 20 or 30 seconds ahead, but it's a lot better than 4 to 8 seconds where you're at or here. So it does matter. Okay. All right, here's some more. This talks about road construction, highway situations. The shoulder to your left, remember we talked about shoulders the very first day. To your left is level. I'd say false. Limited space, absolutely, yes, true. And good sight distance. I could argue both on that. I'll show you in a minute. Alright, so yes, it's hard to see it on the cursor, but you can see the edge of the pavement. It is a various heights. Okay, so yeah, you do have a low shoulder and also a soft shoulder because it is gravel, some of it. Okay, limited space, yeah, you got the construction barrels and signs and the cars in front of you, and so yeah, you're very limited sight. I can see both if you said yes or if you said no, either way. No, I could see, because there are a lot of barrels and signs and things that kind of in your way. There's a crane up ahead. But if you take away, and of course the minivan in front of you, if you take away the minivan and the crane, you can see pretty good. Okay, so I can argue both. I would accept both on that. But, rightfully so, you're definitely going to have limited space. Area less traction? No, I think it's pretty much regular asphalt. Good sight? Probably not. Less space, absolutely, yeah. Gravel, I mean not gravel, sorry. Asphalt's asphalt. It's not raining, so there's no traction loss. Limited sight, yeah. You got a lot of cars and trees and buildings, so and cars in front of you, oncoming traffic. So yeah, I would say probably not. And then limited space, yeah, you do have limited space. You got cars parked to your right, of course the yellow line where you can't cross over. And of course if you go down a little further, you got cars oncoming, making your space possibly even tighter. So yeah. Shoulder level, no. It seemed like it was soft shoulder too, low shoulder and soft. Is it a blind curve coming up? Yeah, absolutely. Limited sight, absolutely, because of the blind curve and the woods. You can see the shoulders are gravel or grass, and they're a good bit lower. And then of course you got the blind curve plus trees and signs and things like that, guardrails. This one I may can argue with you on a couple, make it challenge you a little bit. Limited sight or poor sight distance. I don't know how to argue that one. I can see both. Limited visibility on the sides. Once again, I could see both. Gravel on the shoulders, yes. The reason I could see both is, to the sides, if there were a deer jump out in front of you, you could see. I mean, I've been on roads, I'm sure you have too, to where it's harder to see on the sides. So, yes and no. And you can see a good bit ahead of you too, so I could see that as well. So I could argue both on that particular slide. This one's hard to see. I'll help you out on it. Two construction workers, yeah, there were two construction workers, one on the right, one on the left. It might have been a third one. I'll have to look again. Vehicle ahead is braking, yeah, and it's hard to see. Quality of photo, even here in the classroom, it's tough to see because of the color of the car and the glare from the sun. Is there a construction truck ahead or a vehicle? Yeah, absolutely. The red SUV in front of you does have the brake lights on. And it would appear there's 3 construction workers, maybe 4. Pedestrian walking alongside the road, no. Bicycle coming toward you, no. And motorcyclist ahead, no. Bicyclist is at the stop sign ahead of you. Most likely they're going to turn right. There's no pedestrians. Oncoming vehicle coming toward you, getting ready to turn left, yes. Vehicle ahead of you in the middle of your lane. It's really difficult to see, but I'll show you in a minute. I'd say yes. Is there a pedestrian to the right? No. It's hard to see even here in the classroom. But the vehicle turning left is in left-hand turn lane ahead of you. So the oncoming traffic is waiting, and it appears that they do have their signal on. The SUV in front of you is crossing to crossing from your lane over to the right, but you can tell by the angle of the vehicle it's still in your lane some. Okay, it's not quite in the right hand lane just yet. Parked car on the right has its brake lights on, yes. A lot of time you probably put your brake lights on in your parked car as you're reversing or put the car in drive to pull out. Is there a pedestrian standing along the side of the right, inside the road? Yes. It's hard to see her, she's kind of blending in. Vehicle coming toward you is going straight across the intersection. No, he's actually cutting across your path. There's your parked car with the brake lights on, the silver one. Excuse me. The lady to your right, she's patiently waiting till it's her turn to walk across in the crosswalk. That is true. And you see the black car in front of us. Instead of going straight, they're actually turning left and crossing into your path. Traffic light turning green. No, I think it was yellow. Pedestrian crosswalk ahead. Yes. Is there a motorcycle lane? No. There's your crosswalk. Lights yellow. And no motorcycle lane. This is what I'm going to argue with you on some. So I'm going to give you a few more seconds to look at it and see. There's a couple things probably up for interpretation. It may not be right, may not be wrong, but at least there again, this exercise is to keep you looking ahead. Good sight distance? Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, I'm not, I could argue both, but I would say yeah, you can see a good bit. Now the next two is what I'm going to give you some challenges on. Is there a car pulling out of the driveway ahead? Some of you may say yes, some of you may say no, and I can argue with you on that one in a second. Challenge you. Is the roadway to level with this shoulder? That's kind of up for interpretation. Some of you may say true, some of you may say false. Alright, so good sight. Yes, I think we can see pretty good. It always could be better, but for the most part you can see really well. Yeah, it's a clear day, things like that. Alright, the second question that they asked was talking about, is this car here pulling out in front of you or pulling out in the road? Okay, I could argue with you on that due to the quality of photo here in the classroom and even the quality of photo on your computer. You can argue because of the mailbox and because of the tinted windows. I'm not 100% sure that there's anybody in this car to pull out in front of us. I don't see any brake lights. I don't see any headlights. Obviously, it's day. Most likely they wouldn't have them on anyway. So I'm not 100% sure. How do I know that there's not a for sale sign? You see, sometimes you go through neighborhoods and people put their cars and trucks for sale. How do I know it doesn't have a for sale sign? How do I know? Because of the quality. So when I'm approaching this car, there is some doubt, okay, due to the quality photo. But you still, IPDE process, you still, thinking, okay, there's a car, what do I do? Do I go to the left around it? Do I just continue on if there's nobody in there? So, I mean, it's just to kind of make you think. This is all this is doing. Okay, shoulder. It talks about one question, something about is it level with the road, and that's kind of up for interpretation. I'm not gonna really argue too much one way or the other. I agree with both ways, actually. If you're looking at the white line, okay, if you're looking at the white line and you're looking at the asphalt near the white line, then yes, it's the same asphalt. They're completely level. It's the same thing. But if you classify the edge of the asphalt, then no, it's not. It's a soft shoulder. It's grass or gravel. Same thing for over here. It's grass and gravel right here as well. And once again, that's kind of your interpretation. What do you classify the shoulder of the road is? Yeah. Personally, I would call the shoulder myself the grass area. Okay. That's just me personally. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but that's kind of what I see as far as those two. But getting back to the car, due to the tinted windows, due to the fact that I don't see any brake lights, it's most likely if he had the car to drive and I was coming this close to his car on the road, most likely he would have to put his brake lights on and wait on me because I'd have right of way. So that's just an idea, just something to give you start thinking. All right, so we got truck making a left turn. It's hard to see in the photo, but he's in the turn lane, so I would assume either his signal's on and we just didn't see it, or he's not going to turn it on, unfortunately, but he's in the left-hand turn lane, so I would assume he's going to turn left. Traffic light green. I think it was yellow. So no, false. Good sight distance on the sides, to the sides? Absolutely not. That big truck in front of you, you have very, very limited sight. Side and in front. As I could tell, that you can see the red light to your left. I don't know if that's his turn signal or brake light, but he is in the turn lane, so I'm assuming he's going to turn left. Divided highway, yes. Is a truck moving into your lane? No, they were in their own lane to the right. Limited sight. I could argue both on that, but for the sake of arguing, I think you'd probably say yeah. The truck, kind of poses a little problem. You got a curve. No, he's not crossing over or anything like that. And there is a pretty significant curve ahead. Now keep in mind, and we'll finish with the flashcard part of it. Keep in mind as you're driving down the road, the decisions that you've made throughout these flashcards, you have to make in seconds and half a second things. Answers and questions. You got to come up with a question, come up with the answer, and how to make the situation better for you. Okay, so you always have to ask yourself, what if? What actions will the situation make it more manageable? Keep in mind, this is split second decision making. Do I change the speed? Do I change the position? Do I increase the visibility? Do I sound a warning? Do I, blow my horn, or turn the signal on, or flashers or something? You're evaluating potential risk. How to manage the time you're given, and the space to minimize the risk. Selecting the best path of travel. After searching, evaluate conditions before making the decision. Give yourself all the information. Just like studying for my exam, you're going to study before you take the exam, and you're going to be confident in your decision making. Drivers must constantly question the present conditions. Even though that photo of that truck beside us to the right, how do we know he's not texting? How do we know he's not sleepy? How do we know he's not drunk behind the wheel? How do we know these things? Watch for changes in space. We talked about this earlier. Open space, closed space. After searching, seeing, changing, closed space, evaluate the conditions of the opposite space areas before making a decision. Once again, always question. Then executing. Remember the IPD process, carrying out your decision. Do you turn your turn signal? Do you change lanes? Do you prepare to stop? What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? Once again, adjust your speed. Adjust your communicate your position. Are we going to put our flashers on? Are we going to blow the horn? How are we going to let people know where we're at? Adjusting your speed in response to a risk or danger. Obviously, the picture to the left is a construction zone, and you're going to have to slow down. It's a law. Obviously, you don't want to hurt anybody, hurt your car, hurt the people. Okay. Accelerate. The picture to your right, I don't know if you can see by the quality of the video, but this person's pulled out in front of this truck behind them. So now they've got to hit the gas a little bit just so that they can accelerate and create some space between us and the vehicle behind them. Okay. Adjusting traffic conditions. Try to keep the flow of the traffic as much as you can. However, if the traffic's going 80 miles an hour in a 55-hour zone, then I would dare say that that's too fast and why get a ticket, possibly wreck. When merging, enter at the speed of traffic. That's another thing sometimes teenagers don't do quite, and it's because you're nervous and not confident. But if you know the highway or interstate's at 70 miles an hour, don't pull out or merge, I should say, going 40 miles an hour. That's way too slow. You want to be at 60 or 65. Now, if it's bumper to bumper traffic because of an accident or road construction, obviously you've got to go in slower speed. When decelerating, do not slow down until you get into the turn lane. A lot of people start slowing down significantly. That's different if you're doing 70 and you bump it down to 65. That's okay. But don't bump it down to 25, 30 miles an hour. Now, once you get into the lane, most likely a turn lane or off ramp, once you may have to drop it to 25, 30 miles an hour, because a lot of ramps are designed kind of like a semicircle where you have to drop your speed quite fast. Adjusting speed to the curves, road wetness, of the road, slippery conditions. Adjust your speed, balance of the car. So I'm not really worried about that as much. Steering, here's a good clue or a good hint. When you see a danger like what's coming up, steer first to avoid the collision. You must maintain the vehicle. And I know there's somewhere on here, but if you have two hazards that you see that could potentially be in your way, take care of one hazard at a time. Okay? Try not to do two hazards at a time. Okay? Do one and then take care of one. But once again, remember at the very first of the course, I said you're responsible. In this situation to the left and it to the right as well, you're responsible to maintain control of the car. Adjust your speed, road conditions. Avoid driving next to cars in multi-lanes. Keep your space between oncoming vehicles. Keep your space between parked cars. Adjust road conditions once again, whether it's curves, wetness, slippery roads, gravel. Okay, so it talks about braking a little bit. Try to brake smoothly and avoid sudden inputs on steering. So execute one input at a time. In this situation, they're talking about braking first, then steering. The other one was saying steer first. I think it just kind of depends. Communication. There's several ways to communicate. Headlights, obviously, if you got running headlights, that's the best. You know, that way they can see. Reverse lights, horn, turn signals, reverse lights, hazards, or some people call them flashers, some people call them hazards, some people call them caution. Whatever you feel like calling them, that's fine. But those are 6 just basic communication things. Lane positions. I know you already heard this earlier. There's 3 lane positions really. The far right and far left, you're not going to drive like that. So really, it's left or right or center. Obviously, you want to be in the center as much as possible and for long as possible, because that way you give yourself more room, more time to react to whatever situation that you're in. Obviously, far right, far left is not going to work too well. When more than one object adjacent to path travel, determine which poses the biggest risk. Treat one threat at a time, like I just mentioned. Decide on change of speed or position. This one here, as we see to the right, the car's decided to slow. There must be a box. Obviously, he doesn't want to go cross over the yellow line because there's an oncoming truck. But he doesn't want to tear up the box or the car if he doesn't have to. So he sees the IPD process. He recognizes there's a car or truck, I should say, and a box. And so he's determining when he's going to slow down. He's going to let the pickup truck leave and go past him. Then he's going to go around the box or whatever it is that's in the middle of the road. As I mentioned earlier, alternate paths. This particular photo, this red car is identified an alternate path. Obviously, he can't go to the left. He can't slam on brakes. So his only clear option is to run off the road. When there's no alternate path, obviously this particular situation is closed. Check your sides and rear. Flash your brake lights, like I said. Then apply your brakes. So you have to do it really quickly. Okay, just as fast as you can. Let the car behind you know something's up. Maybe they already know. Attempt to open some space ahead of you. Okay, create some space on your own if you can help it. When there's no following traffic, provide maximum level of control from the rear. Permits quicker, more abrupt changes in speed. Multitasking. Obviously, you need to become familiar with the devices in your car, so that way you can just take care of it and without even looking. Throughout the driving portion, a lot of times I'll tell you your speed, and I'm not really telling you because you're going too fast or too slow. A lot of times that is true, but a lot of times I'm telling you that way you can feel what 65 feels like, or 45 or 25, without looking at your speedometer. A lot of times when people look at their speedometer, the car kind of sways a little bit because that 1 second that it took for them to look at the speedometer, the car might be running off the road or something, or running, crossing over the yellow line, and which it would be a good situation. So if you'll learn your devices, like it's saying, that takes away from you looking at your road. So if you already know where your turn signal is, or where your headlights are at, or flashers, or whatever it is you need, and if you start learning how fast you're going by the feel of the speed of the car, then you don't have to look at the speedometer as much. Okay? Obviously, as we talked about in this whole lesson, vision is super important, as you know. Keep your eyes active. Don't be fixed on just, we'll talk about highway hypnosis and some other things as we get further along the course. Try to keep your eyes active so you can prevent some of those things. We talked about vision, perception requirements, operating space, stopping distance, lane positions, making a safe lane choice, and divided attention, multitasking. Okay.